the founder of the Money With Club and also the CEO of olaoladele.com, the parent company of the Money With Club. On this 15-minute session, what we do is review world news, world that's the global, African, and Nigerian news. And we talk about how it impacts your life and what you should be doing to position for or with it, whatever the case may be. Now, today we have a lot of interesting topics or interesting things in the news. Um, that we would love to highlight. The week was quite interesting, I dare say. So we'll talk about Egypt and cracking down on bakeries flouting their bread price controls. We'll talk about security breach in United Health in the United States. And there's a fantastic project going on from Kenya to South Africa on power, and we'll talk about that and the impact on that region and I dare say Africa as a whole. Then of course CBN fintechs were in the news over the week, and then Nigerian government workers got a salary increase this week, and of course, Binance founder was sentenced to 4 months in prison along with fines and other stuff. And we'll talk about that today. Like I said, it's a 15-minute session. We run through quite quickly. But if you are joining us, I can see people joining in. Just say hi and where you are reaching out to us from. I'm happy to put your post up. Just say hi. Where are you joining us from? And we'll start with global news. For global news this week, the first news is about the Binance CEO. Now, Binance has been in the news, especially in the United States, even in China, like across the world, really, and in Nigeria, most especially. There has been drama around Binance in recent times. Now, finally, the United States government prosecuted and got a judgment for the founder of Binance. And what was the charge, the fact that he did not put enough controls in place for or to know his customers, right, and to prevent fraud, illegal money laundering, and terrorism funding. And the charge was basically you could have done better, right? And he got 4 months in. He's going to jail for 4 months. He's going to pay 200 million in fines personally, and Binance is going to pay 4 billion in fines as an organization. Now, what are my thoughts on it? If you understand the cryptocurrency market is or the cryptocurrency ecosystem is, you can almost understand why Binance will not do that kind of deep KYC that a traditional finance institution would. Why? Because the essence of crypto is that everybody does what they need to do. There's no regulation per se, right? Such that if Binance decided to put all those KYCs in place, they would not have gotten the traction that they do have right now. And so, in the scheme of things, in terms of their growth compared to the fine, you'll find some people saying that the fine was not, or the judgment wasn't strong enough. Why? Because they feel like compared to all that they made on this, they should be fined more, or that he should have gone to jail for longer. But basically, we understand where he's coming from. However, as an ecosystem, with this judgment, the fact is that any other crypto platform that is not doing their proper KYC, the CEO is at risk right now. Because you're probably going to be picked up and you're probably going to go to jail. And then your own jail term is probably going to be more than 4 months. That What does that do for the ecosystem? The fact that whilst the regulators cannot regulate it from a standpoint where you are going to be giving returns to the SEC or whatever, what they've done right now is that if you cross a line, you're going to be prosecuted. So they've sort of put some structure around or some limits around that ecosystem. Yes, the average crypto person might not be happy with this, but guess what? As a society, it might actually be better for us. It might actually see a slowdown in the use of these platforms for illegal stuff, and then the legit clean people will go on with their regular business and everybody is happy and good to go. So I think it's a win for the financial ecosystem and its stability. And when you consider the fact that, okay, there's also the halving event that comes every 4 years, and then there's this whole crypto, there's a cleaning of that system, there's a standardization or an evolution of that system, then I dare say that the crypto market is probably here to stay more than ever before with this judgment. Now, the second news out of America. There was a breach, a security breach, a cyber security breach with United Health. Now, United Health is one of the top health insurance companies in America. And what had happened was that there was a breach in one of the subsidiaries, and they had to pay a fine of a whooping 22, no, not a fine, a what's it called? A ransom of a whooping $22 million to get access to their platforms again. A lot of people were affected. From the news, they say about a third of all Americans with insurance, with health insurance, were affected by that. And it will take for they're able to communicate with everyone that was affected by it. Now, what does that mean for you as an individual? I mean, what they said was that the segments that were affected were segments that did not two-factor authentication made compulsory in those segments, excuse me. And so they have had to do that now. They've had to enforce two-factor authentication in that segment that was affected. Now, for you as an individual, don't wait until it hits you, right? If you know anyone that has lost their WhatsApp account to fraud or being hit by people and stuff, then you know that these things can be very messy and can go downhill quite quickly. So if you can, as much as lies within your power, right? Every app that is important to you, set up two-factor authentication for it right now. That's on one side. That's on the personal side. On the investment side of things, cybersecurity is going to be more and more of a thing as we go along. So, what game are you playing in that space? Have you looked at the cybersecurity companies? Have you looked at them and said, this is the one I want to invest in? That's something you should be thinking about, because as the world is going online, cybersecurity becomes more of a thing. So you don't want to miss out on it. And then off to African news. Now that one I found a little bit interesting, right? Because Egypt was cracking down on bakeries that were selling bread above the regulated price. The Egyptian government had set a price that no one should go above for a certain type of bread, and then some bakeries were selling maybe times two of that, and so they were prosecuting them. I found that quite interesting because um from the view of the bakeries, of course I can't price my bread the same way the next person will price theirs, because we're not the same thing. We're not, you didn't go to chef school with me, you didn't go to baking school with me, you don't know the rents of the location I'm paying, and things like that. But it just sounded very funny for and I think this is something that's quite common in Africa, and I think Nigeria is even trying to do some things like that with stores and regulating prices and stuff like that. Does it work? It hasn't been proven to work anywhere. So I genuinely do wish Egypt success in this their adventure. However, as an investor, that make you that kind of economy to go to. I understand from the fact from the I understand from the part of the Egyptian government that inflation is a major, or bread is a major part of their inflation basket. What does that mean? When they are calculating the increase in price from 1 naira to 2 naira, to say inflation went from 100%, from inflation grew by 100%, right? Or whatever, right? Bread is a major part of that basket of things that they would add together to say it moved from 1 naira to two. Now, such that what they are trying to do is to use regulation, rule of law, police to keep inflation down, right? But does it really work? No, it doesn't. Why? Because that business knows why it is pricing that way, even despite the general economic situation, such that it's more likely that the business will shut down than for it to, if they have to stay with that price, than actually sell at the 1%, or at the one. I'm not even sure what their currency is. I can't remember what it is, but it was like one Egyptian currency, and some people were selling at three, right? But the idea is this: in a free market, people are happy as able to price as they feel they should, and market to decide whether I will buy from this person or buy from that person. But when government begins to do price controls, and then they're also controlling the cost of rent and also controlling transportation and also control things, it can become quite messy quite quickly. So I'm not a supporter of that. But I don't know why African governments tend to tilt towards that. Now, for the second news out of Africa, I was very glad about this. Now, there is a power line that is set to be launched or deployed in November 2025 that will run from Kenya to Southern Africa. So now what is so exciting about this is that the idea for them is that they're going to be buying and selling energy. So if I have excess energy, I can push it to the grid. And if I have a shortfall, I can buy from the grid. It is so amazing in my mind. Now, apparently there's like a energy pool, like a group of East African countries that Southern Africa is supposed to connect the Southern African energy. And the idea is that the Southern African energy, you've seen in the news, South Africans bringing out their generators, and stuff like that. So this is going to help with the energy pool across that region, right? And it's connecting, and I love it so much. Why? Because cross border electricity imports and export is a thing. It's actually so if you have excess, you don't say I'm going to allow it to waste, because energy actually waste. Like if you don't use it, move into something else, right? Right. So instead of me wasting that, I can actually sell it, right? And every someone else gets power, right? And it's a really good one. And I dare say that I am looking forward to Western Africa doing something like that because our power issues are on steroids. But then it's expected to be launched in 2025, and we're looking forward to it. Also because the energy it needs across Eastern Africa is expected to grow in that same period. So it's actually a good one and good planning. Well done to that. Now, I just want to do it to the people that have been commenting on our posts or dropping messages and stuff like that. Yes, so I want to do a shout out to Aderi Bigbe Thomas, and we're talking about the economy last week. And if you didn't see it, you can go and check it out because the news is still in the news right now. And he was saying that, and we're talking about how the Ministry of Finance needs to be at the forefront as against the central bank, and he corroborated that. Just thank you for chipping in, and if you care to just comment on our post, and your name just might appear. And then this is Jamil Dune 5175. Um, he was opposing my thoughts that World Bank that having the World Bank give us funding, because and the World Bank gave Nigeria 40-year funding at a very ridiculous rate, very, very low. And he was like, no, it's not a good thing. But yeah, it depends on how you see it. I could see his points, but guess what? Money is still money. Where the money comes from sometimes, as long as money has come, let it come. Also, to remind you that this session, or this 15-minute session, is powered by the Money Weight Club. And so if you want to find out more about us, you can check us out at www.themoneyweightclub.com. And also, we have a Substack newsletter. It's free. You don't have to be a member of the club to get that newsletter. It's about information around the world, and you can subscribe to that and get news that affects you, and also get a sneak peek into what's happening in the Money with Club. Finally, please connect with us on all social media platforms. Yeah. Finally, Nigerian news. Yay! So the central bank was in the news again. I mean, there was a season where it was one day, one secular, but I think we've calmed down now. One day, one secular instead from the central bank. And then this one was about the mobile money operators, the fintech mobile money operators. And the fact that the central bank has officially told them that they should taking on new accounts. And it's because their KYC system was flawed. The fact is that you can just open an account immediately, which is good, but it comes with some issues because people have been defrauded and they've not been able to stop anything, and the money just disappears. So the central bank is saying, all of you just pause. I think it is good. People were worried, is their money fine? But I mean, it's about account opening, not about running as a business. The central bank did not say stop operations. It just said don't open new accounts. Let's figure it out. I expect that these guys, because it would affect their bottom line in the long run, they would go and engage with central bank, and they'll create a stronger KYC system that would work and protect, because you hear of stories of people that an account is opened with the name. How was it able to open that account, you know? So those things after it needs to be resolved to the central bank on this one. Now, finally, the FGN increased salaries of government workers by about 35%. I think it's about 30 something thousand naira. Yeah, but the NL complaining that no, that minimum wage should be 600K. You guys think about it. Minimum wage should be 600K. How? How? Please, someone should explain, right? So, whilst it is good, it's a step in the right direction. We also do know that beyond increasing salary, we need to really address the things that are driving inflation. For example, FX, for example, security, for example, transportation, right? A lot of these things that we are shouting, the prices that are skyrocketing, in the villages where they are produced, they are actually wasting. They are very cheap and they are wasting. But what's the problem? The transportation from there to the places where there's cash to buy is flawed, is broken, right? And that's why these prices are skyrocketing. So there are fundamental issues that, if addressed, you would need salary to survive. But right now, everyone's at the low hanging fruit of increased salary. But how can the minimum salary be 600K? Like, even private sector is not paying 600K, right? Did you get it's somewhat ridiculous, but this is where we are. People need to survive, and so I mean, asking to get out of it. Now, this being done, I hope you found it useful. Always remember that you can't outsource your health and your finances. Same way someone cannot jog for you and you'll be slim, or eat vegetables and you'll be healthy, or take your meds for you. Is the same way you cannot outsource your finance, outsource financial stability. You have to engage. And so this is us helping you in that engagement series, in that process of engagement. Have a beautiful week, and bye for now.